Hello and welcome back to Baywatch Watch. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Zach.
And we're back. We've got a great guest with us today. He's a writer, he's a comedian, he's an actor. Please welcome Scott Theed.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, Scott.
For being here. Yeah, we're so excited to have you. So we ask every guest when they come on the show, have you ever watched an episode of Baywatch before?
No, I was a total Baywatch virgin until I watched this episode last night, and I was shocked, amazed, and I'm now fully on board for Baywatch.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. Yeah, that's pretty typical. We have, I would say that on our hands, on one hand, we can probably count the number of people who actively watched and remember Baywatch.
From when it was on, basically.
Yeah, from when it was on. For the most part, it's just everyone says oh, it would be on television and I would just watch it. My parents didn't want me to watch it or whatever it is. But yeah, most people have never seen this show that at one point was the biggest show on television.
Yeah, I mean, it's just from the impression I got watching this one episode, it just feels like such a time capsule that it also doesn't shock me at all that it has very little replay value for people who were not around for the original run of the show. Although, I mean, I think that you can get a lot out of watching it based on what I saw. But it just seems very of the time. Which
it also just does whatever the fuck it wants.
It does.
All of a sudden, Mitch is a kickboxer.
Yep. So that's new, Scott. I'm sure that's one of your questions.
That was one of my questions. I was like, is kickboxing a part of the show?
No, it is not. Never been. And so just so you know, we ended last episode with Mitch on a cane after rehabilitating from being in a wheelchair because he was basically paralyzed. And then at the end of this episode, he fights someone nearly to the death and uses his feet almost exclusively.
That's wild.
I'm sorry, which one is Mitch? Is that David Hasselhoff?
That's David Hasselhoff, yeah.
Also, we found out last episode, this was brand new too. He's like, I was in the Navy SEALs, and me and Charlie are like, what?
And all of a sudden,
what is this all about? And that's now a thing.
Yeah,
wait, that's new.
It was mentioned last season for the first time because when he was about to get rehabilitated, the nurse was like, "Were you in the service?" And he says, "Navy SEALs," and we were like, "What?" And then all of a sudden, it's no, he was a hand-to-hand combat instructor in the Navy SEALs.
He's a captain.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, why not? I guess.
Whole thing was wild. And it's funny because as we see, Matt Brody can kickbox. He was very good.
He was.
And Mitch cannot at all.
No, although I will give Mitch credit, he can kick actually. When he was kicking the bag.
He can kick high and stuff like that.
And it looks like it would hurt for sure.
It looks like it would definitely hurt, but he's like a bare knuckle brawler. And then he's somehow the coach for all of these kickboxers. But I guess we should just get into our recap, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So this is season 3, episode 21, Kicks. Season 3 almost in the bag. One more episode.
Yeah, amazing,
wild.
right?
Feels like we just started it.
Yeah.
We open with a kickboxing montage, and it's Matt Brody kickboxing with Mitch coaching him. And then Summer's watching, and this guy in American flag trunks, who we find out is Steve Thorne.
Yeah.
Who?
Oh my God! Wait, his last name is Thorne. I wrote him as Cohen.
No, Steve Thorne.
Steve Thorne.
Yeah. Who had a little bit. We didn't have Kelly Slater in this episode, but I feel like Steve Thorne had a little bit of the Kelly Slater acting chops.
He did. I will say this about him. I don't know if you noticed, but on the credits list, he has no other credits. Basically, this is his one credit.
One and done.
So for someone that's not an actor to be thrown into such a big role, I was like, he did all right. I think.
Sure.
He was by no means like an actor as we would normally see on a TV show, but he did all right. I thought.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
And I wrote down Matt's good at kickboxing. He was really the jump kicks, all that stuff. I was like, man, he really wails on this guy. But then we've got someone watching.
And taking photos,
And taking photos. Michael Branson.
Uh-oh. This is a brand new character too, Scott.
Brand new character, never seen him before.
But the
Wait,
villainous
really?
Michael
Yeah.
Branson.
It seemed like there was like a deep-seated rivalry between
They
him
just
and
do
Mitch.
that
Totally.
all the time. There have
do.
been like 5 episodes in which they've just had a guy from Mitch's past who's like, I'm here to kill you.
I want, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I want like the prequel to Baywatch. I want to
Yes.
see his past growing up because, like, man, he's had some adventures.
And I would just say like Mitch, like, to have that many vendettas against you, that
Right.
many people wanting to kill you.
That's a little
like,
on Mitch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you got to start looking inward, buddy. Like,
Right.
but yeah. So then Matt is in the finals, and then the American flag guy, or Steve Thorne nods to Summer, and there's a little bit of flirtation between them, and she gets so invested in him.
She really does. Big time.
Having never seen or spoken
They've
to him
never
again.
met before?
No.
Never.
Summer
this
has
is
a
brand new
boyfriend,
character.
Kelly Slater.
And she has a boyfriend, Kelly Slater.
What?
Unfortunately, wasn't in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh God, could you imagine if Kelly Slater and Steve Thorne had a?
Oh my God,
scene
I would
together?
love to see them fight.
Oh,
Do you think that they wrote the episode meaning for Kelly Slater to be the Steve Thorne character and then he wasn't available and they just got somebody else?
oh my God, Scott. Possibly.
It could be.
Thinking about it because he also has like kind of a past. Like his dad's like a totally shitty, abusive person, not unlike Steve Thorne. And he's kind of living on his own. He didn't have the kickboxing past, but
No.
you know, Baywatch. They could just throw that out and be like,
Yeah,
look,
they could
he's
just
also a
throw that in.
kickboxer.
I know.
Right.
It's a good point. It is very much like it was his character, but just instead of surfing, he's kickboxing.
Yeah. And Steve Thorne knocks his opponent out right quick.
Yeah, I think
And-
he kills.
Yeah.
We don't get a follow up on that. I was like, I think he's dead.
Would you say he's dead weight?
I wrote that down too.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So then Mitch says to Brody, "Don't worry, he's got some weaknesses we can exploit." And then Matt's like, "What do you mean we? You're not the one up in the ring." And then Michael Branson comes up to him and just out of nowhere is like, "It's just like you, Buchanan, telling other people how to fight and avoiding them himself." This like reminded me of the ski instructor episode of South Park.
Sure. Yeah.
The guy's like, "Stand Darsh."
It is very much like an 80s movie type
Yes, it
trope,
is, like-
without a doubt.
Someone just coming up and using the Latin, just being like, "All right, Buchanan, we'll see what you're made of." And then everyone's like, "Who is that guy? Don't worry about him."
Yeah.
Which is so funny because like it feels like that story that Mitch didn't want to tell. When he finally tells it, I'm like, "Why didn't you want to tell that story?" That's
Yeah, it wasn't that big a deal.
nothing big about that story. You were an instructor and you had him kicked out because he
Yeah,
broke
you
a
wrote him
guy's arm in 2 places. Yeah. But he's like, "Oh, I don't even want to talk about it." I thought it was something where like Mitch got his whole platoon killed or something.
Sure. That's what it was presented as, basically. But
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So then, then when Mitch turns around to walk away, he kicks Mitch in the back of the leg like flat tires and basically.
I love that. Yeah, is that what it's called? Flat tire?
It's flat tiring is on your feet, but like the way he
Okay.
did it was like, yeah, he like basically just like pushed that part of your knee that just went
Yes.
forward, like your
It's basically,
extender. Yeah.
and this 100% works for anyone out
Yeah.
there. But don't do it to like hurt someone. But yeah, if someone's standing straight and not really aware that someone's about to do this, and you put pressure like with your foot or whatever on the back,
just
on the other
fall.
side of their knee, yeah, your leg just goes out.
Yeah.
It's just
So.
like a 15-year-old boy, like
It
prank
did.
you,
Mhm.
like
100%.
yeah.
But it's also like a
It's like a high
real
school thing.
like escalation move too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's-
Oh
just
yeah,
like-
no, I mean totally. I mean, for a grown adult to do
Yeah.
that as somebody's literally walking away is just like a total trash move.
yeah.
Yes.
And Brody wants to get in there and fight for Mitch, but Mitch stops him. And then he says that Mitch ruined his life and says that whatever happened. And then Mitch says, "Whatever happened to your life is your fault. I had nothing to do with it."
I mean, Mitch is right.
Which is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Accountability
getting
for yourself.
discharged from the Navy SEALs ruined your life, like, you know, I mean, could have been
Yeah.
good for you. Not everyone's meant to be in the Navy
No.
SEAls.
No.
Like that should have been me killing Osama bin Laden. Screw you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Actually, this is way too far
Way
fast
too-
for this to happen.
yeah,
But still, he's like, it's like he knows in the,
The
back of his
oldest
mind.
Navy SEAL ever.
Yeah.
And then he tells Brody, "I'll see you at the finals tomorrow." And then he says to Mitch, "I'll see you there, Captain. And whatever he tells you, do the opposite." And then again, we get Navy SEALs.
It's
we
amazing.
worked together in the Navy SEALs.
What's the theory here? Is it, I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer for this, but is it like they were like, hey, Mitch, we just want to have a reason for why you're such a badass in every, because he always like kicks ass, Scott, like
Yeah.
whenever he's in a fight. So it's like maybe they just wanted a reason why it kind of makes sense finally. I guess.
It really like it elevates Mitch in a way that's like most former Navy SEALs, from my cursory knowledge, like end up doing things like the Merchant Marines and like private security,
Sure.
and like things like that, where they like defend like cargo boats from pirates and stuff like that. You know, it's like that kind of thing. So
look, I love lifeguards, amazing. They're very talented people, but yeah, and I get what you're saying. It's like not a good use of his skills.
It just seems like that it's so strange for them to have just revealed this, especially like from the opening credits, seeing all those like boats and lifeguard helicopters and stuff. It felt very The Guardian or Guardian, whatever that Ashton Kutcher movie was, where he was in the Navy.
Sure.
And, yeah, and so when they said that, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense to me. Of like he's like a former like Navy person who now is like running the Baywatch.
Yeah,
but it's just surprising that they didn't like cook that in from the beginning.
Right.
like a former, like especially like a former Navy SEAL, it would totally impact his demeanor and everything too, like the way he runs his house, the way he runs everything.
Right.
Like, but they are like, they've said, like for continuity purposes, that Mitch has been a lifeguard since he was like a teenager, right? So it's like,
that's what I don't get about it.
So I don't get what's the period of time that he left and joined the
It's a
Navy
commitment.
SEALs.
I mean, after being drafted into Vietnam, probably, right?
Oh, that's right. He'd be around that age, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
even
or Korea.
like draftsmen generally aren't Army Rangers and Navy SEALs
True.
and like Marine frogmen. Like they
Good
generally are
training.
infantry.
She's so
I
great.
don't know how long they trained, but I would think it'd be like maybe 2 years, right?
It's a
Before
long
you're like-
time.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
for-
because
maybe.
he was a lifeguard, they were like, this guy can swim. He's good. We should make him an officer.
They just jumped him ahead up to officer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I buy that. No, he's the
a
best
lifeguard. He should be an officer.
Yeah.
Just like everyone who like worked at a pool for a summer becomes a Navy SEAL.
A lot of
hey,
pool lifeguards.
I mean,
that.
Scott, you could
when
be a
you're
Navy SEAL.
drafting-
You're a
That's
swimmer.
right. Yeah, you're a
I
good
mean,
swimmer.
even out of shape as fuck, I could definitely swim way better than Pamela Anderson during that scene later in the show.
Yeah,
Well, she was motivated by her passion for lifeguarding, though.
Sure,
she was. Yeah.
She's got terrible freestyle.
And not for Elaine. And so then as Steve Thorne is heading to his car, Summer walks by him and is like, or no, he's heading out into the water. That's what it is. Heading out into the water.
yeah.
Water.
Did you think he's gonna do that thing? Remember that episode?
Or he tries to kill himself.
Yes. I mean, I don't think so, but it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Scott, where it was just like
walking out
somebody,
to his end.
yeah,
Somebody
like, I don't
did
know
just
if
like
that's a thing,
walk
really.
in to try to kill himself.
Just walk into the
They had to
ocean.
save him. Yeah. But yeah, so he's walking in and she says, "Hey, I wouldn't do that." But when he turns around, he's like, "What?" He's so mad. She's like, "The water's too cold. Your muscles would cramp up. Trust me, I'm a lifeguard." And he's like, "I saw you at the fights. You didn't seem to like it much." She says she doesn't think it's a sport or an art. It's barbaric.
It is
And
a
he
good
said-
reason. Why did she watch the whole thing? If she
Yeah. She was standing ringside too. It wasn't
Yeah.
like from the back. She was like right there. And
It's crazy to have a kickboxing ring just on the beach,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like they just put
100%.
that there for convenience sake.
It's just literally, it's one of those things that Baywatch, they always got to find ways to get it on the beach.
gotta be on the beach.
Also,
Yeah.
where
So-
are they supposed to be? I saw a sign for Venice Beach, but it doesn't seem like
A
California.
lot
at
of the
all. Is
show,
like a
yeah, it
different
is.
Venice
Yeah,
Beach?
no, a lot of the show is in Malibu, and then Venice is a big part
Yeah.
of it too. And that was
But
definitely
wow.
filmed at Venice Beach.
That part was, yeah,
Okay.
but I think it's supposedly in Venice, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Like Baywatch is.
Because I'm pretty sure the illegal boxing place was the Magic Castle.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
Not
I've
the
never
out,
been,
not the
actually.
Where they
exterior, but
shot
the
it?
interiors, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
I recognized.
What about the kitchen? Was that the Magic Castle?
I
Yeah, was
doubt
that
it.
the Magic Castle
Yeah.
kitchen? You didn't
And
go
the weird thing
Magic
that like
Castle?
Summer is in the kitchen the whole
Okay,
time.
I loved all of that, but we'll get to that obviously.
And it
But
was
yeah,
like
amazing.
the scale that he ends up falling on is like the scale that like Veruca Salt steps on in Willy Wonka.
Oh, okay.
Where she falls through and like all the golden eggs and stuff.
Well,
and
I mean,
like, what is this? Yeah.
At an Italian restaurant that has kickboxing, illegal kickboxing fights, they got away just like big slabs of meat all the time.
Yeah. It was wild.
Real.
Yeah, what's the wait for?
Oh, maybe this is a way in the fighters. No.
Like 5 feet off the ground.
they put him in like a little
Climb
like,
up on the counter.
Yeah.
So then, but basically, this is what we learn is that he's only fighting to not fight. He's only fighting till he gets enough money so that he doesn't have to fight anymore.
Well, he wants to be able to turn pro, basically.
Oh, but then he's like, but he says, I'm doing it because it's my way out. So I'm going to turn pro and then get some money and then do anything else.
Exactly.
And so there's a little bit of flirtation between them. Never goes anywhere.
Nope.
It is weird that like this guy is like, hey, I've got this underground boxing ring for you guys to come to. And then he's like, hey, do you mind if I bring this girl with me? And they're like, yeah, sure. So then Mitch is having Matt do Pilates.
Okay.
And says it's the best damn thing ever invented.
This machine, I do not trust.
No.
I don't know. I was like, I think it's going to snap some
It
vertebrae.
really doesn't look good at all.
It doesn't look safe.
And then he immediately like turns the spotting over to Summer, who like has no idea what she's doing. He's like, make sure he comes down one vertebrae at a time.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, great. They literally just have introduced this machine today. Nobody knows what it is. But yeah, and Matt wants to know about Branson. He's like, would you forget about Branson? And then Summer comes in.
That story is not that complicated.
It really isn't. Yeah.
I don't want to tell it.
It's too painful.
Yeah.
And then we get our go
B
for it.
story, right?
Our B story is the introduction of CJ possibly having to leave Baywatch to be a model for Sports World International, the swimsuit edition.
Yeah.
It is very funny that at the end of the episode, he's like, are you ready to go to Puerto Rico? And she's like, I have to finish my shift first. And he's like, no, we got to go now.
I loved it. She's like, no, but I know, but this is the shift they gave me. So
yeah, it's like she didn't say like, hey, I got to go to Puerto Rico. Can we switch? Instead, she's like, this is my responsibility. So we'll finish the shift and then we'll go to Puerto Rico. And then... Yeah, so basically this guy, Alain.
But I think she calls him Alon a lot.
Alon,
she says Alon a lot. And then there's like a part at the end where I think she's like, the actress, Pamela Anderson, is affected by his accent. Because at the end, there's a part where she says, Alon, don't be absurd. It's like she slips into like a French accent.
I missed that.
But yeah, so basically... He's like, this photographer saw me, says I have a future. And Mitch says, the photographer told me that once and said he wanted me to put me in something for his college thesis. And he ended up on the cover of a calendar with naked women in life vests.
Okay.
The county wasn't happy about that. Yeah.
What is this calendar? I tricked you, Mitch.
I could imagine there being like a lifeguard's calendar, of course.
Right. Is that what it is? Did he get tricked into being
it sounds like a fireman,
calendar?
like a fireman calendar, a police calendar, you know, where they like take their shirts off and stuff. And it's usually like to raise money for charity or something like this. But this guy made this calendar and then the county was like, hey, Mitch, you can't do this. But he's only on the cover. He probably wasn't even posing with anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a story. I think this was in like season 1 where Erica was like in a calendar. Not Erica. Erica's the actress. Sorry. Shawnee. Yeah, she was in the calendar, and like her boss Thorpe was like upset about it. So it's almost like they're kind of pulling from that. Like they're not supposed to be doing it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't
but in this is like straight up though, because he's not being deceptive.
No, not in terms of the actual.
No,
photo.
It is the cover shoot for the Sports World International.
International. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and so then she's like, Alain Berger is legit, but she's like, I don't know if I want my life to change. And she's like, don't do it. She's like, but maybe I do. And he's like, then do it.
Throw a dart.
Oh, throw a dart, and then we get some real Nike product placement here.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it.
She throws the dart and it lands on Just Do It.
Yeah.
She shouldn't cover her eyes when she throws a dart.
Yeah, because it was funny how she did that, because when he said odds are you do it and evens are you don't or whatever, I thought it was like, oh, I guess that doesn't
It's
count.
what she would score on the darts.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was like a he loves me not type thing with each dart she threw. But like obviously that wouldn't make any sense. But so when she covered her eyes, I was like, what are you doing? But I guess this all makes more sense now.
Odds, evens. Odds, evens. So then CJ walks into this truly terrifying looking courtyard and alley that is just covered. Every single bit of it is covered in graffiti. Like the way she's walking in there, I was like, "Oh, CJ, don't go back there." But
yeah,
then we
I
go
thought
in.
it was like a skate park or something.
It does kind of.
It does kind of look like a skate park once you get in there. But the way
tables.
that they show her entering it, it makes it look like a back alley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get in there, it's just like a pile of women being photographed. And Elaine is photographing all of them. And he says he wants attitude like flowing wine. And then he tells one of them, like attitude, a little girl. Like a little girl, Ginger. Which is really gross. I mean.
Well, yeah. This guy.
The weird thing, though, is that it's never addressed that he's a total creep. Like, general story structure would be that at the end she realizes he was a total creep and she's got to go. But everything he does is like the thing that we've heard, which is like this very like predatory behavior, and it works hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. She is like, I've never felt like this before. I'm so in love.
I wrote down as creep charm. It's got creep charm.
Yeah.
It seems to be working for some reason.
Pretend my mouth is the lens of the camera.
But pretend the lens of the camera is yeah. It was. Oh, I'm like, what? How are you? I'm like, how is that supposed to help you?
I know. Scott, just so you know, there is like this running kind of thing with CJ, with the character CJ, Pamela Anderson's character, that she just falls for any guy. Anyone. Just like, you're beautiful. And
anyone who has ever expressed interest in her, she falls in love with.
In that sense, it makes sense. This guy could say pretty much anything that's like complimentary, and she'd be like, wow.
Right. I will say, this is the first. So this is going to be kind of an obvious thing that I'm saying, but like Pamela Anderson is actually like very attractive.
Yeah.
Can I only say that?
Yeah.
Well, and I think I just didn't really realize it because I never saw her, I guess, like in what people would consider quote unquote her prime, because I guess I only saw her when she was older after having like plastic surgery and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, I never really understood the interest, but seeing her in this show where I assume the only thing she's had done is probably a boob job, is like I'm like, oh, she's actually very attractive. I fully understand the whole thing now.
Yeah, it is funny because it's like, it is funny that in this episode, the way like when CJ finds out like this French photographer asked me if I want to do a photo shoot, and she's like, me? And it's like kind of funny. It's like, no, I think she would be aware. Like, yeah, of course she's she's beautiful. She's absolutely. She is very like unique in her beauty, and
especially and like, you know, like not to do like a comparison thing, but when they go and like there's all the other models and she's very intimidated by them.
Very intimidated.
I'm like you're just one of the models, you know?
Yeah.
Like but yeah, so but yeah, she is very prone to men's advances no matter what. And weirdly, like, I hope later in the show they give her a little more agency, because while she does ultimately say, you know what, no, I'm going to stick around and do Baywatch, there's never a moment in which she's like, you're holding this like offer of employment over me as a prerequisite for your love, and like that's really like, instead like basically being like really shutting him down, because even when she turns him down, she kisses him on the cheek and she's like, farewell. Like, it's like this really like parting is such sweet sorrow moment
100%.
Rather than, all right, asshole, I'm out of here.
No,
she does
totally,
address it a little. She addresses it a little tiny bit where she's like, we have to be coworkers and lovers or else it doesn't work. And he's like, yeah, that's how I operate.
Yeah.
And then she kind of was like, oh, but then what happens with the next person? Like she very
it's soft. It's a real soft. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, Charlie. I hope that they give her more agency or whatever, but at least there was like at least a semblance of something
There was a moment. I just wish he didn't get a kiss on the cheek at the end to be like,
He got
despite
a free
all
pass
that,
yeah.
you're
Like,
you're my first love.
No one. He was never
Yeah.
once really called out for any of like
No.
his behavior.
No, he was disgusting. I mean, he was unequivocally disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like not even that good looking. Like,
No.
he looked like Bronson Pinchot or something.
I don't know who that
Bronson,
is, but
he
sure.
was Balky Bartokmos in Perfect Strangers. Yeah, if you've ever seen Perfect Strangers.
Nope.
And not, Bronson Pinchot, perfectly good looking.
Yes.
But not enough to command like someone's brain like that. So then he kisses her on both cheeks and he tells her he'll make her look like a goddess. Once she's in front of the camera, her true soul will emerge. And then we get a CJ montage. It's her changing into a bunch of different swimsuits.
Okay, this guy brought his props, right?
Yeah.
For this montage.
I mean, the
yeah.
one that confounded me was the American flag bathing suit next to a
Mhm.
British royal guard.
Yep.
Like a Buckingham Palace guard.
Yeah. I don't
was
know.
like,
I don't know what they're
okay.
going for there.
And it's like a red couch, carousel horse.
By the way, guys, that was the couch from Friends.
Was it?
I think.
Oh.
I don't know. I never watched Friends, but it's just like I remember from
It's
the
a
commercials. I'm
similar
like, I think that's
couch.
the couch from Friends.
Is the couch red in the Friends?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There we go.
Can you imagine trying to carry a couch on a sandy beach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a carousel horse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they
or
probably
setting
rode-
up
they
that
probably
phone
rode that
booth,
out there.
or that wooden phone booth. At
Yeah.
the,
Or
Like,
bringing in 20 plants for her to
Yeah,
merge
or-
from.
going to KB Toys and borrowing the little nutcracker.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with all of the montages. I feel like there were many, and
Yeah.
it almost felt like this episode. And I don't know if the rest of the show is like this, but like the episode was almost just a series of music videos.
Usually
Okay, so-
2 per episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely that is a thing with Baywatch. It's very common. This one had 2 official montages.
They got
but I
him
get
out
what
of the
you're
way
saying.
quick too.
There are other moments in this, even in this episode, you're like, that's almost like a montage. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Are the
just like
songs for the show? Because I will say, Shazam did not recognize.
No,
either
they're not
of
going
the
to.
ones used.
They didn't have the rights to the original music, so if you were to watch it on television back in the 90s, you would hear different music. But when they
No
put
way,
it on,
really?
when they put it on Amazon Prime, they didn't have the rights, so they had to re-record like 330 songs.
Oh my god!
Maybe
Wow.
more. I don't know. It's like so many episodes of this damn show, like, and each one has like 2 montages in it.
That's wild.
But I
to
think
how
it was
many
something
songs
like
it is.
350. Yeah, that was what the Baywatch remastered YouTube page said.
Mm.
Nice.
Um,
Oh,
But
there's
yeah.
also a big bale of hay and a giant wagon
Yep.
wheel.
Yeah,
in one.
Mhm.
big wagon wheel.
And so then we cut to Steve Thorne stretching, and Summer comes and says good luck, and he says, I hope you don't get mad if I beat your friend, but I need to turn pro and get some money. Maybe I can even be in the movies. That's just a funny thing to say. It's like, I hope you don't mind if I beat him, but I really need to turn pro. If I didn't, I'd totally let him win. But
Yeah.
And then Mitch is getting Matt hyped up, and then Branson comes up and says,
Right,
my money's on
Branson.
the blonde kid. You know why? He's got a killer instinct just like me. Mitch says, don't push it. He says, careful, Buchanan. You might lose your temper and make a mistake.
I'm here for Branson.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this.
Amazing.
character.
Especially since he's like once we get to it, like we're like, okay, this guy is like a kickboxer.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything to make him intimidating. He seems like a dweeby, like he seems like he should be working in an office. Like
Yeah. He is deceptively like a badass. Basically,
he's
He
very
doesn't
very
really look like
lean,
it, but
so that by
yeah.
the time he like really starts, you're like, oh, he's an actual kickboxer.
I looked it up. Oh yeah, what was his name? I might not have written it down. I forget what his real name is, but he's in a movie. He did a bunch of like kickboxing movies and stuff like that. And one of
Oh,
them's
okay.
called King of the Kickboxers, which I'd never seen. But I watched a clip of like the big fight in there, and the guy that he fights, it's this really cool kickboxing fight. The guy he fights against is Billy Blanks, who you might remember from Tybo.
Tybo.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Wow.
Wow.
So the two of them
I,
have this awesome fight. Yeah.
That is interesting to know that he is an actual kickboxer. It makes me feel better about the casting choice, because otherwise, like later when he has his shirt off, I'm like, They just got like a random 45-year-old man, and everybody's acting like they're afraid of like losing to him in a fight. I'm like, he doesn't look intimidating at all, at least not compared to David Hasselhoff or the other guy
Matt
that
Brody.
was there.
Or Matt, yeah.
Or Steve.
Yeah.
Steve is very much like, it's almost like he's modeled after Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV, but he's American. Like, it's very
his hair and stuff.
Yeah, his hair and stuff. But he's the American version, I guess. But
Tall,
also
blonde
with
hair.
a heart of gold. And then it's like it's all just like weird because like later on when he's like, "Hey man, I don't really want to fight you," and then he's like, "Well, I don't want to fight you either. So you better find me someone else." And then later he's just like beating the crap out of him. It's like, I guess they ran out of time and they had to fight
that's
anyway.
what I thought. I was like, Mitch must have been 5 minutes late. He was like, oh, fuck. They started
like,
fight.
I guess we got to fight anyway. But yeah, so then we find out that Steve Thorne is 15-2 and Matt Brody is undefeated.
Yeah. Okay. So
he might have fought one time.
That's what I wrote down. I was like, what? Yeah. 15-2, 11 by knockout for Steve Thorne. And they just say Matt is undefeated. I was like, but what does that mean?
Yeah. We don't know how many.
It really might be 1-0.
Yeah.
It might be the one fight that we saw and that's it.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
You never know.
He had a shorter program this year.
Yeah. The fight starts and they're wailing on each other and Branson stands up and says, "Kill him!
Kill him!"
That's totally like the
dramatic and funny.
like the head of Cobra Kai and Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Or just in a lot of other movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Very much so.
Even though he's not his instructor, he's just a fan, but he's still like, kill him.
Yeah, he really is at this point. He's just a fan. He never becomes an instructor. He invites him to come to the thing as to fight himself.
I know.
Maybe he was scouting people for the ring. Maybe that's what he was really doing.
Oh, like overall, yeah.
And that's why
for
he had the
Kamel.
camera.
Yeah.
Kamel, the proprietor.
That, by the way, fun thing about that guy, also he's like a badass kickboxer.
Yeah.
We don't see it at all, but said on his the trivia, whatever, it says he's like Jean-Claude Van Damme's like best friend.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So he's like in a bunch of those films.
And his real name? Kamel?
Real name. Yeah. But also, by the way, all these fights, did you guys notice, except for the later kitchen one, which, classic. But the fights in the ring are all slow-mo.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just to like cover up like, it's not that interesting, I guess.
Not that
the stage combat wasn't great as far as I could tell. I mean, I'm no expert. I probably couldn't do better myself, but just watching it, I was like,
it felt similar to the
my disbelief
later,
is not super suspended.
like Rocky 3 and 4 type things. Because if you watch like Rocky 1, it seems like they are actually like kind of boxing. But in 3 and 4, they legitimately are just like haymaker, haymaker, haymaker. It's just like they don't block ever. It's just like.
By the way, I don't know. Yes, there are like absurd fights. Like people don't actually fight that way. Just like keep punching me. I don't care.
Yeah, they just get punched like hundreds of times.
I do know for I assume it's probably somewhat the same way in Rocky 3, but in Rocky 4 they really were like doing actual punches and stuff. And Stallone almost died from a punch that Dolph Lundgren.
No, totally. They were actually fighting. I was just saying it's like fake boxing.
It's not a realistic fight. Like no one goes into a boxing ring and fights like that.
It's very arcade.
People get knocked out in a second. And but you know what? The kitchen fight, it makes up for all of this.
Kitchen fight is amazing. Yeah. Loved the kitchen fight. Very creative.
It was.
Yeah. But so as Brody is in trouble and Thorne's about to throw a haymaker to knock him out, the referee steps in front and is like, "The round's over." So then in the second round, they're doing lots of jump kicks, body blow, body blow, body blow. And then Branson gets him out and Matt knocks him down. And then he elbow strikes Brody.
Oof.
Disqualified.
That's almost like Branson when he was in the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Right? Can't do that.
and then the referee is like, "I'm sorry, son, you've been disqualified. You need to leave the ring."
Okay, he said that, but he screamed it. The ref was only ever screaming. Like before that, when he was doing the count, he was like yelling at
man, gotta get that blood out. But he's like, "I'm sorry, you've been disqualified," and then he goes and punches the banner.
Yeah.
Then Mitch asks Brody his name, and he says, "Roadkill."
Oh, by the way, that referee, his name was Gene LaBelle, also a judo / wrestler guy and a stuntman.
Nice.
So,
whoa.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that Matt Brody is pretty much out of the episode at this point. Like he's in it a little bit later, but it's like he never fights again. We never see anything. You think he would be coming to like even later he goes like, should have been there.
Oh yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I probably should have been in this episode more.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with the choices they made, but
yeah,
you could easily just have Matt Brody just be the guy instead of Steve Thorne in some way. And
why did it need to be? I mean, they're both kickboxers, so right. And since this guy, it was his first casting and last casting, I mean, it wasn't like it was like, oh, this guy, we need to get him in the show.
Exactly.
But Summer follows Steve out and tells him not to drive when he's angry. He says, drive where? To another parking lot? Yeah, I live in my car. Is that okay with you? Which is so funny. Yeah, I live in my car. Is that okay with you? And she should be like, well, my current boyfriend also lives in his car.
Wait, does Kelly Slater?
Kelly Slater lives in a car and she lives in a trailer. So yeah, it's like either way, she's like, I am very familiar with homes on wheels. Yeah. And I do not judge you for it at all. Totally. But she never mentions it. She doesn't go like, yeah, my house drives too.
See, another check mark on the Scott list of reasons why the role probably was originally for Kelly Slater and he was unavailable.
Yeah.
It is funny that they were like, but it would be wild. I would love to see, because this guy was an actual kickboxer. Kelly Slater, I would love to see all of the same things happen and see him try to kickbox.
Oh my God. Yeah, would have been great.
By
the way, we follow up from last week. Both me and Charlie watched that documentary,
Momentum Generation.
Yeah, fantastic. Check it out.
It's really great, and it's got a little moment where they talk about Kelly Slater on Baywatch, and there's an episode apparently coming up that I'm looking forward to, in which his surfboard is stolen by an octopus. Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh my God! No way!
Can't wait.
Wow! I want to watch that so bad.
Yeah.
And then she hands him his second place trophy. And I would think
that's a nice trophy, by the way.
Does he still get second place if he gets disqualified? Or
no, he shouldn't.
I don't know. Yeah, but I guess not, right?
Yeah. But either way, he throws it on the ground. Either way.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if you're at Saab. I lost. Your buddy's the one who won. And then
he yells, "You leave me alone."
Get out of here and leave me alone. Yeah.
Mitch yelled the exact same thing last episode. So very popular line of dialogue on Baywatch lately.
And then he punches his car. I think when people tell you things about themselves, you need to listen to them. Like, there's a part later on where he tells Summer, because Summer's like, hey, I was thinking about you. And he's like, I just have this thing where I get so angry and then I lash out. And I was like, yeah, that's a red flag, buddy. Like,
I thought it was actually impressive how he was like, it's not good. I need to get it under control. And she's like, it's actually understandable. You were mad. You lost. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Actually, he's going down the right.
It's okay to get mad sometimes, but maybe don't punch everything. And then Branson comes up and says, I know people who would pay big bucks to watch a kickboxer like you. No rules, no disqualifications. There is a ref, though, during these. I wonder what that's for.
Was there a ref?
There's a guy who's like standing on the ringside who's like going back and forth. He never comes into play, but
yeah. Okay.
It depends on the shot. Like when we first come in, it felt like there was. Maybe it was a coach or something. Maybe there's no.
Oh, okay.
But and he's like, the winner wins, and then he gives him $100 and tells him to get a good meal. Come tomorrow, and there'll be 5 more of those waiting for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big money especially back in '93.
So is it $500 whether you win or lose?
I guess he's going to be paid.
I was $600 total. Too. Because he said it'll be waiting for you here if you show up. He didn't say anything about winning. So hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more in it if you win, but either way, I don't know. I still feel like it's not, I guess it's a lot of money, but like,
yeah,
Summer made a good point later. She's like, is it enough to cover his hospital bill?
Probably not. I said that's a lot of money, but that's just because I always assume stuff from 30 years ago. I'm like, man, inflation, it was way different back then.
It probably was close to
it was more valuable.
Probably close to $1,000, right? I don't know, maybe not.
But now that I think about it, I'm like, is that enough for a fight where you might die? Probably not. No. Okay, that's not good.
Especially since like all these guys in suits are watching it. It's that very like underground, like where the rich come to watch.
Oh, these people are horrible. They're just like, yes, kill him. They're all for it. Yeah.
And then CJ is looking at photos with Alan, and she tells him she loves them, and he tells her, "I'm so glad you like them, but they aren't photos of you. There's so much more inside of you. Your fiery spirit, your passion, sensuality." He says, "I must capture it on film. Do you trust me?" And then she says yes, and he says, "Come with me and get down on your knees."
Yeah. Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, whoa.
And kiss me.
Oh,
Just
okay.
pretend like my mouth is the lens of the camera. It's like, what the hell? How's that gonna work?
I don't know.
You don't stick your face right in the lens. And
Bad advice.
Yep. She says, no, go for it.
I was gonna say, did you? Because I wrote this line of dialogue down too, because it was just too good.
Yeah.
Did you write down passion like PASS and then like the name Sean?
Yeah, I wrote PASHSHION.
Oh yeah, basically the same thing.
Passion.
Because he really says it.
Yeah.
Passion.
And later he said, like when he comes to her, he's like, CG.
See, what was that?
Yeah.
I was like, hold on a second. I get
Yeah,
you
you
French,
can
but I'm
say
like, but her
CJ.
name's CJ. It's not like you can't say. It's like I'm French. I do not.
CG. You
I'm going
ready
to say
go?
C. What?
Yeah.
G? No, I do not know the name you said. CJ.
And then they kiss. And then he says, tomorrow we will take more pictures, just you and I alone. And you will open up to me like never before to any other man, not even yourself. They kiss some more. He's using the old Mitch Buchanan trick, right in front of a
fireplace.
fire. Yep.
This
Mitch,
is the thing on
whenever he
Baywatch.
wants to seduce a woman, it's always in front of a fire.
Yeah, Baywatch makes you believe that people only have sex in front of fireplaces.
In
I can't remember.
California.
Yeah, Southern California.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, people that would have
Yeah.
a fireplace barely use it throughout the year
Big
because
Bear,
it's
Lake
pretty hot.
Arrowhead, sure thing. But
Sure.
right by the beach,
Nope.
That fire is lit always in Mitch's house.
Yeah.
It's not even a fire pit outside. It's literally.
No, it's literally just an indoor fireplace.
Also, at the beginning of the scene, it's once more again where like CJ's like, I can't believe it. Are these me? They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
What?
like I think she said something to the effect of like, I actually love some of these. And I'm like, or like some of these came out good. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Totally.
Yeah. So then the next day, Summer comes down to Venice Beach Park and talks to Steve. She apologizes the day before, but he says, I should be the one apologizing. I have a real problem with my temper.
Good.
And she asks what he's so angry about. He says, my dad used to beat my mom up a lot, and then I'd get it too if I tried to defend her. I spent my whole childhood getting beat up on or beating up on somebody until I started kickboxing, in which I continued to beat up on people exclusively.
Sure.
It really helps.
yeah, that logic I didn't fully follow. But I
Yeah.
was like, okay. I'm like, it's allowed, I guess, in the ring.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I earned it.
And
Both people are agreeing to beat up on each other, I guess.
yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it almost seems like he took the getting beat up on part out of it. Like, I mean, I guess, yeah, but it's like
Right.
he then becomes yeah.
But no, I mean, I say this, meaningfully. He needs he definitely could use some help too. Whatever
totally.
It may be.
Totally.
He's gone through some shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you know,
then she's like, well, why don't you just do something else? And he's like, it's the only thing I'm good at. You're a good swimmer, so you became a lifeguard. I'm a good fighter. And then I'm like, I gotta go. I'll see you later. And then she's like, don't go with that guy. He's bad news. And he's like, but this is a guy who can make me some money. And then she invites herself along.
I love it. Somehow Branson's like, sure. why
Yeah,
not?
sure. I also we'll talk about him later, but I'm obsessed with the doorman at the place who does not check anyone before they enter. He's like, hello, come on in. And then when Mitch
he
gets
just
there,
lets
he's
him.
like, hey. And Mitch just blows past him and he's like, hey, what's going on with that guy?
Yeah.
The whole idea is to not let people into the underground.
Right. It's
boxing
underground
ring.
secret.
he's like, they're with me. And then the guy's like, okay, sir. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess didn't even know who he was. But if
Yeah.
True.
he's like, you're there with me. Well, if he's somebody where he can,
As long
there
as
can be people with
everybody's with somebody.
him, then they're supposed to be here.
And then Alan is taking pictures of CJ, and he's very weird. He tells her to be like a snake
Destroy him.
crawling
Oh.
along the hot sand. Yeah, destroy me.
Yeah.
Didn't he say that at some
He
point?
does say,
Yeah.
he says, destroy me. Destroy me.
Yes, destroy me.
Also, when we first see him in this shot and he's taking pictures, his
Yeah.
legs are so far spread
Yeah,
apart.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then she comes up and she just pushes the camera aside and climbs on top of him and starts
Mhm.
making out with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she's
Oh,
overcome.
He also some of his instructions were like, imagine you are a serpent. That's serpent in case.
Yeah. A serpent. And then Branson gets everyone into the club, and I wrote down, this is the Magic Castle, pretty sure. Not the outside.
Awesome.
The outside is because you could see the street from there.
Yeah, that's probably just some restaurant.
Yeah,
I don't know what though.
And then he's like, this used to be a restaurant, but now we rent it out for private parties. Which is very funny because there are a lot of restaurants that get rented out for private parties, but I'm wondering if this one just is like every night the same private party as the underground boxing ring.
That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it's so big inside too and like ornate. I was like, this is some like fancy secret kickboxing underworld like dinner theater.
Yeah, because it's two level too, right? So Kamel, who runs the underground boxing ring, the idea, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, is that Kamel rents the space from the restaurant for the underground boxing ring.
Right.
Rather than him being like, I own the restaurant, and so we can use it. He has to constantly be like, hey, how's the schedule looking? You got like a, quinceañera on Saturday? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll skip that night.
Yeah. True.
And,
I forgot.
We do your insurance.
We do get a little bit of action here from Kamel.
Yeah.
When Steve comes in,
He introduces Steve, and he throws him to the ground and says, you
There's
must
like a little leg sweep.
always be alert, inside the ring or outside of it. Says, yes, sir, I'll try to remember that. And then CJ is on the lifeguard tower, and Mitch drives up. It is funny, like Kamel, you would think he would be like the big boss or something like that. Like, that's legit it. At the end, he's just like, okay, here's your money.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Right,
that was great. Anytime you want to come, I'd love to have
And Mitch is like, hey, asshole, like, I'll be back. And he's like, okay.
Steve made me laugh so hard because Mitch takes the money, though.
Yeah.
He's like, you keep doing this, and I'm going to bring someone you don't like. I assume the police or whatever. But he takes the money.
He gives the money to
He does give it to Steve, though.
Yeah.
So that's admirable.
But yeah, he does. He shouldn't be like, I don't want your dirty blood money.
Right.
But then I think Steve would be like, well, I actually need the blood money.
Got my ass kicked badly.
He's like, I'll be here next week.
And then he turns and he's like, or haven't you heard? I live in my car. Is that okay with you?
Drive where? Another parking lot? I laughed so hard at that. I also wrote that whole thing down.
Yeah, it was amazing. So CJ's on the lifeguard tower, and Mitch drives up, and he asks how it went, and she starts crying. And he's like, what happened? The jerk try something? The answer is yes.
Yes. I was like, yes, he did.
And she was like, no, that's not the problem.
Nope.
And she's upset because she got the cover girl job, and she'll have to give up being a lifeguard, which I do not understand. Like, I'm like, I mean, maybe this would shunt her into the world of professional modeling, which would make it more difficult. But this one job, she could just be like, hey, I need a few days off.
Well, that's what, but Alon was the one who said that she would need to quit. At least that's what I thought I heard when I watched
I get that.
It. Like, well, he says that in order to get the job, I have to quit lifeguarding.
Like, he would demand that from her. Because he'd have to be her girlfriend.
Because he's
as well.
controlling.
He's
manipulative, abusive.
Yeah, he's awful.
Yeah. But she does not see it that way.
No. And she like pours her heart out to Mitch, and then literally he just goes, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Without responding.
It's very funny. Well, because Mitch has heard this all before. Which he says. He's like, oh gosh. And because he's like, if this is what you really want, why don't you do both? And she's like, no, what I really want is him. And then Mitch laughs, and then he's like, I gotta go.
So.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
He's like, take your time. Don't make any rash decisions. And then she's like, I have to let him know by 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, which is such a funny, like, arbitrary plot device of when people are like, there's a deadline, like an explicit time deadline that I have to say.
And I have a shift.
Yeah, that ends at 3:30.
Yeah.
I think she was just trying to avoid it. She's like, I don't want to have that conversation with him. Hopefully he'll show up at 3:30. It'll all work out,
exactly.
Right? But
then,
Mitch does say, I believe in you too.
I believe in you too, which is really nice.
It is really nice.
Yeah. And then Thorne gets ready to fight, and then he sees a guy
in the
walking.
Kitchen locker room.
Yep. Kamel's like, next bout. And all these guys in suits are watching the fights, and these guys are really beating the crap out of each other. And then Branson comes up to Summer and says, it's like the damn Coliseum in Rome. She asks why he's doing this, and he says he can make a lot of money. She says, enough to pay his hospital bills? Let's hope so. He'll be fighting me. And then he tells Thorne that he'll be fighting Branson. Or Summer goes like, Thorne, you're going to be fighting Branson. We got to get out of here. And I would think he would think, because of this guy's only been wearing Hawaiian shirts, he'd be like, I can beat that guy.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, why are they afraid? I was like, this like Shuby who comes up wearing like these taking random pictures. That's how they first like meet this guy. I'm like,
maybe Thorne just is like, I will kill him and then I'll be a murderer. You know, like it's like I don't want to kill him. But instead, no, it's supposed to be like you're gonna get your ass kicked, even though nobody knows the story.
Nobody knows this.
No, nobody knows. It's like it's almost like he's like, what? I gotta fight Jet Li. Like,
no, you're right.
Yeah.
The only thing they've given us about this guy, besides them saying that he was in the Navy SEALs, was that one little leg thing that he did on Mitch.
Yeah.
Which any of us could do easily to anyone.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, that's like a little bitch move. That's not like a fighting move.
Yeah. And then he's like, Mister, I don't want to fight you. We're not even in the same weight category. And he's like, well, that's good because I don't want to fight you either. So you better find me another opponent, which I'm just like, well, you got like 40 people here. You just swap some people.
Yeah.
Like,
You would think.
just move some things around rather than.
Also, I want to point out real quick, it was funny to me that Branson had that conversation with Summer and he was like still in his full suit.
Yeah.
And then Summer's like, I'm sure she immediately left to go tell Steve, hey, we got to get out of here. Branson shows up. He's like already ready to fight. I was like, how did he change that quickly?
Yeah.
Well, it was a suit with the buttons down the side, so he just tore it off.
Tore it off. Yeah, tear
like
away.
like basketball warm-ups. Like
exactly.
Oh yeah, I love that.
So then Brody asks why Mitch won't talk about Branson, and he finally does. And he says that Branson was his student in the Navy SEALs in hand-to-hand combat. He could never handle losing, not even in training. He was fighting and losing, and then he fractured a guy's arm in 2 places, and then he laughed about it. Mitch wrote him up, and they discharged him. It's so funny because it's like Mitch writing this report and being like, he broke this guy's arm in 2 places, but it was the laughing that got him discharged. You break a guy's arm, you better look dead serious about it. You laugh.
There's no laughing in the SEALs.
I'll be out of here like shit through a goose.
Well, I also thought this scene was really funny too because he's giving this long monologue, but periodically just like laying these huge kicks into a punching bag. So much where he's panting the whole time, where he's like, "Well, I was his teacher, poof, and he broke a guy's leg."
And Mitch was paralyzed last episode.
I know.
Oh,
don't understand.
I forgot about that already.
And now he has these big long kicks.
Would this be classified as a soap opera or no?
The Baywatch in general?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a soap
There's
opera.
elements of it though. I don't want to classify it, but I guess there's elements of that.
Yeah.
Because it's got
like
soapy vibes where it's very arbitrary and like a little bit
It's episodic but not serialized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because soap operas are serialized. Like
sure.
Like an hour is like 5 days.
I guess it just has a similar level of like melodrama and like kind of like a lawless universe.
It's hard to classify. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of falls into the same realm of like a 90210 or a Melrose Place. Like it's that kind of show, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The OC, like, you know, like what this is kind of like a precursor for all of those. Where they have like comedic elements and then drama as well.
But there's more adventure, I guess.
Definitely more adventure.
Which it's kind of like Walker Texas Ranger as well, which isn't really that comedic.
Right.
But it's similar though in that sense of where it's like
Walker Texas Ranger is always unintentionally funny. It never never goes to humor. And then he says that he wouldn't leave the base, which like they should just immediately make him leave. But instead they were like, if this becomes a problem, we're going to have to get this guy out of here. But he's been discharged, and they're like, you can hang around.
Yeah, the military really lets people hang around.
Until
you start bugging Mitch.
I know. This made me laugh so hard. This idea of like, wow, he just kept coming back to the base. It's like, that's not how that works.
He kept coming back and wanting to fight Mitch to the death. He kept saying, man to man, to the death, let's fight. And then finally the MPs are like, all right, you crazy bastard, get out of here.
Well, also, wait, so is Mitch like much old, or is it supposed to be much older if this guy was his student, or do we think that it was kind of just like
I think they're like similar in age.
They look better. The like guy honestly looks like he was older.
Looks so
Mitch.
much older.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, that's what I was. I was like, when they said a student, like, why couldn't it have just been like another, like a fellow SEAL, and then something went wrong. It was like very weird how he was my student, and I feel like it tried to follow like some sort of martial arts trope of like a rebellious student who now the master has to defeat or whatever.
I think that's part of it. I think also they just really are. It seems like they're really trying to make Mitch be like such a badass now. Like,
well, I
he was like
hate
the
to harp on the
instructor.
Navy SEAls timeline again too, but not only was he in the Navy SEAls, which takes a long time to train for, he became an instructor, which meant, he had to do it long enough to be trusted to train.
Unless, like Scott said, he got to skip levels.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a
person.
lifeguard, you're automatically a Navy SEAL and a kickboxer.
Yeah, the hand-to-hand combat aspect, I'm like, okay. But yeah, and then so the MPs finally dragged him away. And then the phone rings and he's like, somebody get the damn phone!
He's got an anger problem.
That was
now,
funny.
too.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
He picks it up and it's Summer. And he's like, hey, Summer, what's up? And then Branson grabs the phone and is like, you better get here fast, Buchanan. Come alone. Which is why, I guess that's why Matt Brody doesn't go, because he's like, come alone. But it is like a very weird plan, because like I would almost think that like Kamel would be like, hey, don't do this shit at my underground boxing ring, because then he's got this weird lackey who we've never seen before, who all of a sudden is like holding Summer hostage.
It's just like another kickboxer.
Yeah.
I put down like kickboxer goon. He's like, and he's pretty prominent in the rest of this episode. And it's hilarious because I'm like, what's his motivation for this?
There's that very
who
funny
would be
part.
like, yeah, I'll do this crime for you. Sure, let's. I'm just.
There's that very funny part where after the fight, they come into the kitchen, and then Summer runs, and he like half-heartedly chases her, and then gives up, and then he goes like, "Okay,
we're cool now. Never
cool.
mind, we're cool."
And then 2 seconds later,
I love it. Laugh so hard.
Oh God! But so then he says, you better come alone. Come to Bruno's restaurant in 1 hour. So yeah, it's Bruno's restaurant.
Right.
Featuring
Kamal does not own
Kamal's underground boxing.
He's calling Bruno every week and going like, hey, do you have any openings for me?
Yeah.
I want to do my illegal kickboxing thing.
Oh, your daughter's engagement. Congratulations.
I see. Okay. No, I understand.
Yeah. When do you think it'll be over?
Oh, that
That's
long.
true. Yeah.
6 months. Yeah.
Oh, no. I meant like that night. Will there be time for me to fit in an illegal kickboxing match?
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't mean.
No?
I think they'll last forever.
No, yeah.
And then Mitch pulls up, and the guy's like, "Hi," and Mitch just blows past him. And I was like, "All right." Then Mitch comes in, and Branson is just wailed on Thorne, knocking him down. He's been the shit out of him.
Yeah. What I wrote down was, I think Mitch is 5 minutes late, because he said be here in an hour, so it's like an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he's like, "All right,
I'm fighting
time to fight." And then he says, "What's it gonna be? You gonna fight me, or am I gonna break his leg?" And then, like, I thought Mitch would like get ready or something like that, but I think he probably was like, "I'm not putting on fighting trunks and taking my." Which Mitch takes his shirt off all the time, but he does the whole thing in a sweatshirt and sweatpants.
Yeah. I was very not confused by that, but I was like, "Oh, he's not gonna take off." It just was very funny because it was like the other guy shirtless. I was like, a sweatshirt. Okay, cool. Keep it.
Part of it could have been the stunt double. Maybe that's part of it, because there's a stunt double in here.
Yeah,
it's clearly not David Hasselhoff.
But it
so
is
maybe
weird.
that's harder to come. Because that guy's probably like really, really like super cut. Is my assumption.
But the stunt
tattoos,
double.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, but for the fight, Mitch doesn't do a single martial arts move. It is like truly like brawling. It is like
there's a little bit.
Like so Mitch, he does that one like running like is it
leg
like crane pike punch or whatever.
That's what it was. Sorry, yeah. So that's like the two moments that I specifically noticed that it was definitely a stunt double was that one. And then there's one thing where he does like a head throw on the guy.
He did that. Like but other than that, it's like Mitch, like the other guy is doing full on kickboxing moves, and Mitch is just like, it looks like
close-ups of him like punching or something like that.
It looks like in a one-on-one fighting game where you have people with two different fighting styles going against each other. It's like, and it's just like, and he's coaching Matt Brody and eventually coaching Steve Thorne.
That's right.
So
it is kind of funny when Mitch gets there and he's like, "Come on, Steve, I'm going to take over the fight." And he helps Steve, very beat up Steve, out of the ring, but he's still standing there. And then Branson kicks him out of the ring.
Yeah, he kicks him in the head.
Insult to injury.
Yeah.
And then he like pulls Mitch in too. So
pulls Mitch in, throws him on the ground. He's a real dirty fighter.
He is. Yeah.
And
this
is like a blood sport or whatever. It's Kumite.
Yeah.
And so the moment that Mitch knocks Branson out. I am trying to understand what Branson's move was here.
Okay.
Where he ran directly into Mitch's
To
clothesline.
A clothesline. It suddenly became like a pro wrestling match.
They
didn't
looked at each other and then they just like locked eyes. And then he just runs forward, not putting his hands up to fight or anything like that. And Mitch just puts his arm up and he runs right into it, just like, ugh.
Just a simple clothesline. And it knocks him out.
Knocks him out. Blood all over the mat. Like, you know, he's like bleeding. It's
never known a clothesline that hits the chest, not even the neck, right?
But then bursts his nose.
Yeah. It wouldn't. Exactly. It's not a knockout move.
Yeah.
Probably hurt, but I don't know.
And then,
but that's like a weird thing because it's like this was a kickboxing match.
Yeah.
And then he wins with a clothesline. Is like, what is that?
I guess it's just, he said no rules, no disqualifications.
That's true.
Yeah.
But once again, they're going to make it up for all of it in the kitchen in a moment.
They really will.
I loved it.
Yeah. Kamel gives Mitch money and tells him that he can fight again anytime. And then Mitch gives the money to Steve and says, if I ever find out you're having fights again here or anywhere else, I'll show up with customers you won't want to know. And I'm trying to think, who's Mitch going to bring? The police?
That's what I thought. It was just the police. And that's a good point. It's a weird way to say it, right?
Yeah.
Those aren't customers.
Yeah. And I was like, but
these
also
people
like
are gross. They fart the whole night. Your place is going to stink.
I feel like Kamel's going to be like, I'm not listening to you. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll just get a better bouncer.
Man,
will actually prevent people from entering.
Look, not that I support this illegal underground kickboxing thing, but Mitch is such a buzzkill all the time too.
Yeah.
You better stop doing this.
He's a very dad.
He is very dad, yeah.
I know. So then Mitch and Steve go into the kitchen, and then we get the goon who lets Summer run away and then just goes like...
Starts to run after her.
Yeah.
Sees that the three of them... Oh, Branson must have feud. We're all good now.
Okay, we're good. And then Branson does exactly what the guy in the last episode did, the hitman does, where he comes back from the dead and runs in and attacks Mitch again. Surprise. And then we get this amazing kitchen brawl where the goon grabs Steve Thorne, so Summer hits him with a pan and knocks him out.
Yeah,
love it.
And then he knocks Mitch onto the stove, and then Mitch turns the burner on to burn him.
How does he figure out which one though? So he's on half of like this like stove. He's on one half, but he somehow figures he's like, this is the knob, and turns up the flame like full blast.
Yeah, full blast.
Could have burned himself.
Yes, I know. He could have gotten the wrong one.
Early in his Navy days, he was a galley cook, so he knows his way around a stove.
And he had like a whole part of the hand-to-hand combat training that involves blind stove turning on you. You just know,
it all goes back to the Navy.
If you're laying on a stove, you know which knob does the left, which does the right on a standard stove. If it's a European model, you're screwed.
And and you have to learn how to make it really flare up 3 feet.
Really flare.
I know, right? Is that a kitchen thing? I don't know, because I'm like, whoa, that was a huge flame burst.
Yeah.
I mean, like a professional,
like a restaurant kitchen. Yeah.
It would ordinarily when you first would light it, it will come up at most like a foot, but there's no way it's going to shoot up like 3 feet in the air, just turning on a
huge
stove.
Flame.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. That's so dangerous in a crowded professional kitchen. That would never happen.
Then they knock over all the dishes.
Oh, I love this.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like,
and then the meat grinder.
Is that what that was? I was like, it's some kind of crank thing. It's meat grinder,
I think it's you take it's like a slice or whatever you cut. You just I think you put the meat in and
put in the meat. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you put Mitch's head is like really close to it.
Yeah.
But he gets out of it, thankfully.
Really close. He gets out of it. And then they both pick up weapons. One picks up a pipe, and then Mitch breaks like a mop handle or something. And
yeah, it's a push broom. He takes the wooden thing and just snaps it in half. And then Branson has like a lead pipe or something. I don't know. It's just some kind of pipeline.
Branson loses the pipe immediately though, because Mitch is wailing on him with the.
that whole sequence I loved because it was definitely just a one take thing because he breaks the broom handle unless they had like 10 broom handles there.
They weakened
but it's
it
funny.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because there's all these dishes there, and when Branson goes to pick up the pipe, he does slip on like some dishes. It just happens.
Amazing.
And then like he gets up, he grabs the pipe, and then there's other dishes to the right, and he just like smashes some.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think he's just angry at dishes because they made him fall a second ago.
It would also be funny if like after they stopped, they were like, "You actually weren't supposed to break those dishes. We actually,
we have to bring those back to Edith Head. We need to take them back to Edith Head."
And
it's a wonderful sequence. I love
it. Then Mitch punches him and knocks him onto the scale. And then he turns and says, I guess that's what they mean by dead weight. And everyone was like, and he's like, all right, come on,
people
let's
laugh.
get out of
And
here.
Yeah, they all laugh so hard.
that's not even a good. I mean, it didn't make too much sense, right? I mean,
No, not really.
I was thinking
He's
about
not
it.
dead either.
Is he dead? Because then it
No.
makes more sense.
I know. I was like, he's not dead because then you see him go like, "Brr."
Yeah.
But also too, it's like who? No.
Well, like
But
dead
anyway,
weight.
but it was-
What is that?
I
No,
mean,
I mean that idea of dead weight. That's like someone that's not pulling their own within
Right.
a job, right? Like if we're all working on something and then like I'm just slacking off.
It literally. I mean,
This
it
was
literally
just supposed to be a
means, like,
Schwarzenegger, like a
It is, yeah.
one-liner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like dead weight literally is like when you're carrying dead people, like in the army, no man left
Or in the
behind, or
Navy.
whatever. You're like, well, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, all
Sure.
the armed forces. I mean,
Yeah,
And anyway,
it was a great line though.
it was a great
Really
line.
great.
It was a great
Everyone was
scale.
like,
Everyone
this is
loved
like-
it. Mitch,
Yeah.
Mitch was on cloud nine. He's going home and just thinking about it. Like
the whole
yeah.
car,
Yes.
the whole car ride back. Summer
I
was
thought
like,
of that
you
right when
stand
it,
up.
like, and I said it, and they loved it.
Yeah, he's telling Hobie
And
about it
he's
when he gets
hoping
home.
he's hoping someone brings it up. It's like, Mitch, remember when you said? And he's like,
Oh yeah,
I just
I
thought
did
of
say
it,
that, didn't I?
Yeah.
it was just nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do remember that thing I said.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was it? Oh, I think it exactly was because I
Yeah.
remember it very clearly. I wrote it down.
You know what was weird about that? It just like I just came off the top of my head. I didn't even
Yeah.
one of those magical moments where, boom, I saw him on the scale and I was like, he's dead weight. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Pretty great. So then we are done with that plot line, and we cut to the beach, and CJ is looking at the ocean, and then Alan,
CG.
my partner says, CG, what are you still doing here? She's like, I'm on duty. It's so crazy that she's decided to work her shift the day. And
If
It is funny.
you
And
don't
also,
want to go, just tell him.
it's like an interesting choice from Pamela Anderson, this whole scene as well. It seems almost like she checked out on the whole
Yeah.
plot line or something. And she's just like, I'm just working. Like she forgot who this guy is. or
she
whatever.
also is like, her acting in this moment is so weirdly like flat. Like she's just
Yes.
going like, yeah, she's just like, but I have to work my shift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was noticeably different from the rest
Noticeably
of the episode. And I was
different,
like,
where she's just
whoa, what's
like-
going on?
Yeah, and she's like, but you're not drowning. Like
Yeah.
they keep doing this thing also where they like try to make us think that she's like not stupid, but like a little dim in the sense that he's like,
Yeah.
because she's like, I'm responsible for the beach, and he's like, you're responsible for me, and she's like, why? You're not drowning, and I'm like,
You're not a
okay,
swimmer in the
okay.
ocean.
Yeah, you're not a swimmer in the ocean. And then he says, but I'm drowning in my love for you.
Ugh.
And
This
then
guy.
a little girl starts drowning, and then it takes forever for CJ to run out because it's total slow motion. And then,
Yeah.
and then she goes out, and then I didn't see this girl.
I went back. It is there actually.
She does.
I
Scratch
missed
her
it the
face.
first time. The girl actually does like a
Mhm.
swipe at her.
There's like a little sound cue too, where
Yeah.
it's like,
Like
a
a
little, like a, ding. Yeah,
like a
yeah,
Wolverine adamantium
Well,
claws. Like,
Claws come out of her.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
but yeah, so that's part of it too, is the fact that it's like, this is another problem I have with the arc of this episode is that the only reason that Pamela Anderson really like ends up saying no is because he's like, your face is ruined, you can't do the
Yeah.
job anymore. It's not like, hey, I'd rather just like be a lifeguard.
Right.
If she had just been allowed to finish her shift, she would have gone on, and then her perfect face would be perfect for the. But then as soon as she gets scratched, she's like, you can't be in a magazine with your face scratched.
Which is dumb. I mean, they
Yeah.
have makeup. He's like, maybe some special effects makeup, but I'm like, it's not that big a deal. It's just
No,
like,
it's not that big of a
the blood.
scratch. And like, it is funny how they pose that as an issue. And then he's like, actually, we can cover it with makeup. Come on.
yeah,
But I think like to defend CJ just a little bit, I mean, I think the whole reason why she was like, I got to finish my shift, and she just did that and didn't tell him was because it was just hard for her to make the decision that she wanted to do. I think she was like just trying to avoid it.
yeah.
So like, I don't think that she was ever gonna go. Like, even
see,
if she didn't
yeah.
get scratched or anything like that. I just think that she
That's a
just
good
was
point,
doing
yeah.
the thing of like, I don't want to make this this choice is too hard for me. Like, I feel like I know the answer, but I don't like know how to do it because it's an opportunity. Blah blah blah. And then I think like I think what pushed it over the edge, which made it like easier for her to finally do, was seeing how he was like, I don't give a crap about a drowning little girl. You're my little model person.
You're
Charlie's
giving the writers way too much credit.
I know. Charlie's shaking his head no. I feel like there's maybe something there.
I like it.
They don't do a good job conveying it.
Yes, I definitely agree that philosophically that makes sense from a writing standpoint. I don't think these writers got there. I feel like and didn't write her character well enough to be like, she doesn't.
I mean,
it's like almost there though. Yeah,
but that makes it does make a lot of sense,
because otherwise to me it's just so confusing to make those choices that to me in my mind I'm like, that's what they must have meant but didn't put clearly, because otherwise why would you do that at all? Like, why would you not have, unless they just are really trying to force the plot of she needs to save someone in front of him, okay, how do we do that? Well, she's still on her shift and he's like, where are you? And then he comes and then they argue and then somebody drowns and she saves him, and that's how
we needed one. We can't go an episode without a near drowning. So.
True.
Oh, really? It's in every
episode pretty much.
I think
so it's kind of like
episode,
is it for, you know how in Law and Order everybody, like, there's always a dead body and like everyone kind of jokes about like how actors it's like so many actors are like dead bodies on Law and Order. Do you think the same is for Baywatch, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be drowning on Baywatch this week? Like,
back then, that's probably true, right?
Like for actors, it was like a good, like, I mean, I guess it's not a co-star role, right? But
that's true.
This girl was like 8.
Some of them are though. Sometimes it's like a drowning victim, and then they're like a major character.
She was really selling it. She had like a shirt over her head and everything.
Yeah.
So then he's like, basically tells her, he's like, we're both coworkers and lovers, and the two are tied, and they'll never be separate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, they're inseparable. You'll be by my side in both work and pleasure.
Yeah. And then she says, what happens to us if I say no? And he says, there is no us. And she says, if a new model comes along, are you just going to replace me? Yes, he absolutely is going to.
Oh, he totally is, yeah.
I
forget what he says. He just tries to brush it off.
No, he was like, you're crazy. Don't say that.
Yeah.
So then finally he's like, don't do this. And then she says, I really love being a lifeguard, and saving that girl gave me more fulfillment than glamour, prestige, or you can ever give me. She says, I'll cherish everything he's ever done for her. Everything he's ever done for her. It's been like 2 days. And she kisses him on the cheek and then goes back to work.
That's so true. She basically has like a few photos at her home.
Yeah.
Like, everything you did for me.
He probably was also like, I'm going to need those back. Those are mine.
That's true.
Well, again, I probably am reading into it again too much. But in my mind, what she's grateful for is that she taught him where her priorities really are. She she values lifeguarding more than modeling. So
Charlie's about to shake his head no and say
no. We'll see that thread carried right through to the next episode when Pamela does the exact same thing.
That's a good point. That's probably almost certainly gonna happen.
These characters do not grow or change.
I know.
I wish they did.
Well, Larry David was in the room, probably the writer's room.
Oh yeah, he's like, no, what is it? No hugging, no learning.
Yeah, no hugging, no learning.
No hugging, no learning. There's lots of hugging.
Tons of hugging.
But no learning.
No learning at all.
I don't know. I know I've said this before, but I truly do hope that they do CJ's character a little bit better in future seasons or whatever.
I
too much of this,
wonder
like,
though.
any
Yeah,
dumb guy
I wonder though, because of the reputation that Baywatch has, if they're just going to lean into sexuality more and more as
it goes.
Then,
right.
Because eventually, as we know, they add like Yasmin Bleeth and Carmen Electra and like all these, people. So,
but I mean, it's possible that Pamela Anderson obviously this all happened like 30 years ago or something, but in the future, from what we're watching now, will be like she's a huge star and she'll be like, no, write me better dialogue than this. Like, come on.
Sure. I hope that happens.
I mean, Summer's character didn't seem very fleshed out too much either.
No.
She has episodes that are great, but like a lot of her episodes are like just there to like kind of help move the story along. Like this one, it's like we just need this guy to have someone that's looking out for him. It's like there's nothing about Summer in this episode, really.
No. She like is totally inconsequential,
right?
Really,
yeah. It's like she's weirdly like almost like a caseworker, where she's like we got him into a house, we got him a new coach. When she like walks, when she walked up when she apologizes, she's like carrying a bag, and I thought she was gonna be like, hey, I brought you a bunch of stuff, but it might have been just her workout bag or something like that. But it felt weird in the sense that like in that first moment when they smile at each other, there's a little bit of romance, but then there's just no flirting or anything later on. It's like they're old friends at that point, where it's like, if I met someone and on the first day I met them, they screamed in my face.
Oh yeah.
And like the next day they're like, hey, I'm sorry I screamed at you yesterday. It was like, you know what? If you scream at me on the first day, chances are we might not be the best of friends. Right. But yeah, which is why it also lends credence to if it might have been written for Kelly Slater, because it would have made more sense.
Yeah. I think she just saw his he had like a very like sort of like toddler looking smile that was kind of frightening to me. Maybe that's what kind of,
and the way he talks.
Oh, I'm not attracted to him anymore. Well, I think it was another case of well, never mind. But
just never acting before.
Yeah, that, and then also just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This guy, this guy seemed like he was just working really hard, which good for him.
Yeah. But, okay, so let's get out of the episode. We cut to HQ, and Brody is training on the bag, and CJ's on the rowing machine, and it's like just that wrap-up moment. But then CJ's like, hey, what's the deal with this bag? And he's like, why don't you give it a kick? She does it pretty weakly, and then Mitch gives Brody the old like this, and I was like, I thought he was telling him to take a picture of her, but then no, pretend to be the photographer, and he's like,
which I don't think they ever met, but they nailed him. They nailed his character. They know.
They nailed it. Come on, CJ, kick the bag, and he's like, oh baby, and then CJ really kicks the bag.
She does, yeah.
She's laughing too. She's like, hey, this was the love of my life, so and I lost him, so.
Thank you for teasing me about my trauma.
Yeah.
I've gone through a breakup.
Not only does she kick the bag really well, but I don't know if you guys caught it. At the end, she almost punches Matt in the face. She throws a punch at him, and it's like pretty close to his face. Wow. I'm like, oh my God, if she connected, that would have hurt.
I would have loved that.
So that was season 3, episode 21, Kicks. So now we have.
Real quick before we get to the awards, I just want to point out there was something new at the end. I don't know if you watched the end credits, Charlie.
No.
At the end, it now says fan club announcement. Call 1-800-4-Baywatch. So I think it's just from the original, run or whatever.
They left that in?
Yeah. So I think that this must be around the time where it's like probably starting to really like blow up, and they're like, okay, there's a fan club now and people can call in and stuff.
Amazing. Like so, it's just funny to leave it in because they did so much to like take out, like they switched up the intros. And then they're like, we'll leave in this phone number.
Maybe the number still works.
Yeah, maybe it still works. You can join
Try
the
it out, people. Yeah. 1-800.
So the intro title cards are different than the original as well.
Well, by this time they were using it, but for season 1 and 2, there was a different theme song, and then they just retrofit it to make it that the one that you're seeing for this season and beyond, which is it for the rest of the run, was for season 1 and 2 too.
Oh, okay.
Same with the end credits. I don't know on which season where the music goes, but they use the same one for this whole thing.
Yeah,
I know there's at least 1 or 2 seasons where David Hasselhoff sings the end credits.
No,
it's a pretty cool song. I would recommend checking it out.
I love that.
Okay.
Also, real quick, sorry, let me point out before I forget. Everyone, Scott Theed, our guest today, did the artwork for Baywatch Watch. So any of our promos or anything anywhere, he's the one that did that.
Yeah, our cover art. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. I love it.
All right, awards. We have awards to give out. We give awards out every episode. Our first one is our Hofsker. This is the best actor of the episode, and everyone gets to nominate someone.
Yeah.
Best actor of the episode.
Everyone gets an award, so that you nominate. I think personally, I'll go with Branson just because I liked the villainous nature of him. It was fun. I don't know. So it like dumb and cheesy, but like it worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah, Branson gets mine.
Oh, I was gonna. This is boring, but I was gonna say him too. His character just felt way more effortless than the other ones. I felt like
totally
love it.
I thought he was a good villain. And I actually liked the reveal that he was like a legit good kickboxer.
Yeah. That was a cool reveal. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, then next is our Jilzy, which is our worst actor of the episode.
Man. Okay. I think there's like an obvious choice, but I almost kind of want to avoid it for reasons I said earlier. I think I'm going to do, which I sometimes do, less so that it's bad acting. I'm just going to choose Alan, the creep, just because I'm like, this character, man. It was just so like creepy, cheesy, everything. I didn't like it. I don't know. I guess you could argue that the guy did a good job playing that character, but if we're supposed to be like, hey, this is a guy that CJ would fall in love with, I'm like, no, come on. This is like,
But I mean,
I don't
think
know.
about the guy who was doing the like Heartbreak Kid honeymooner thing. Like she's always she's falling for a ton
I get
of
it. That's true.
losers.
So it is. Yeah, it's like. So like I said, I there's probably an obvious
Yeah.
choice that you guys will say, but I'm going with this guy for.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess if the guy never acted before again, then Steve
think it should-
Thorne. But it's like I don't know. It's in the same way that I give Kelly Slater the Jilzy every time.
True.
It's not like, oh, I thought like, yes, I did not think his acting was good, but I
Yeah.
also like supremely enjoyed his performance because of the fact that it
True.
was just like all over the place, you know? Like I was like, he either screamed everything and like that very first moment when Summer's like, hey, I wouldn't go in that water, and he's like, what? I thought that was the funniest
Look,
response.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I just made up some bullshit reasons. The true choice is Steve Thorne. It's great. Yeah, I think he's the Jilzy.
It was. Charlie's right. I mean, it was definitely enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
It was. Yeah.
I mean, it was not great acting, but it wasn't like terrible. I mean, he did like a pretty good
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
I think on a scale of never having acted before, I thought he did a pretty good job. But I think he is the rightful Jilzy on this.
Yeah, I think we also like we give Summer too much of a pass a lot of times because she's kind of a nothing character. But
She
like,
would be my backup, especially
Yeah.
as a series regular, right? Like
Yeah.
she's in all the episodes
Or about
or whatever.
yeah.
Like she's a cast member. She should be like Pamela Anderson. I was very surprised at. I thought she was a great actor, at least by comparison.
Yeah,
I thought she was
there's
doing
most
a
of this
really good
episode.
job.
Yeah, I thought she was great. And then, like as we said before, that final
that
scene, I was like,
final
"Whoa!"
scene,
She just
was,
is like,
yeah,
"Nope, I'm
she
done."
just was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
something happened during the day and she was
Possible.
pissed and was like,
Yeah,
I mean, it
Yeah,
was the
I'm
end of
kinda
the day. Maybe it was a long shoot day, and she's
Could
just like,
be.
"Ugh."
yeah.
we'll never know. I wish there was running commentary.
Maybe she was
Um,
literally about to fly to Puerto Rico, and then they were running
Yeah.
late that day.
And they were like,
Yeah.
you gotta do your shift. Okay, and then best montage. So we've got two to pick from. I'm going
Yeah.
kickboxing.
Okay.
And then the second one is the CJ photo shoot.
You know what? I thought they were both enjoyable. Like we've had some shitty montages lately, and this was both like this is pretty fun. I'll go with the second one, I guess, just because it was kind of like, oh, I get it. This is why Pamela Anderson was such a huge superstar. It's just
Sure.
kind of, and it had funny, silly props in it and stuff like that. But I did love the kickboxing one too. It was fun.
It isn't so like the only reason I didn't pick it is because it isn't so different than the other sexy Pam
Good point.
montages we've had.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's been a while since we've had one though, but yeah, but no, I totally get that.
It is just funny to see like what like a cartoonish modeling shoot looks like in terms of like in shows and movies and things, like all the different, like I feel like, and you know, any fashion photographers or swimsuit photographers can correct me out there if they want, but I feel like you'd kind of do like sort of one sort of setup or like location kind of, and use that instead of having like some pretty big set pieces that you lug out onto a beach and then just kind of like shoot a few frames and are like, okay, now we're going to make a hard left and do some patriotic stuff. And then we're going to go like do frickin' Oregon Trail props and then like a big friend's couch. I thought that was really funny. Although the song from the kickboxing one I did like better. But I guess if it's not one of the original music, I guess maybe that's not something great to base it on.
That song was called Run for Cover. It had some threatening lyrics in it. I don't know if you guys noticed. The guy was like, "You better watch your mouth. I'm coming for you," or something like that. That's not exactly what it is, but if you look, it's something like that.
Yeah, cool. So two for the Pam montage. I definitely get that. Those props were very funny. Okay, and then finally we rate the episode on a scale of 1 to 6 Hasselhoffs. And 6 is the best and 1 is on the low end.
Okay, judging by how we usually judge Charlie, I don't think this is probably the right score. It's probably too high, but I'm gonna go with 5.5. And it was just a very enjoyable episode all around, but I feel like that kitchen scene just like put it over the top for me. And I was like, yeah, 5.5. So probably a little high, but I don't know.
I'm gonna go full 6.
Yeah.
I'm going full 6. That was the number that came to my mind. I think this was like, it's been a while since we've had one with such a high octane ending. And as you said, as soon as like, I loved the idea of it being set in the kickboxing world. There was lots of like funny stuff to see. And then that kitchen fight, oh baby, that was great. So yeah, I'm giving it a 6. It's been a while. We haven't had a 6 in a long time.
We haven't. I fully support that.
Yeah.
I'm like now doubting my 5.5. I'm like, yeah.
I do not think we've had a 6 episode in season 3.
Okay.
Oh,
the last one I think was Gilligan's Island.
Okay, I think this is the best.
Is that a crossover
of the season? Then
it was. They went to Gilligan's Island, and the surviving cast members are in the episode.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 2 actual actors.
Oh my!
I recommend it. It's a good episode.
That's
Great
incredible.
Episode.
That's incredible. Well, I'm glad you gave it a 6, Charlie, because I was going to give it a 6. My, this is my introduction into the series, and it's just like. I mean, I don't know exactly what my expectations were, but this surpassed it in every single way. And I just love like all the arbitrary like plot points and like the sort of fantastical things that they fold. Like you would never imagine that an underground kickboxing cabal would end up in Baywatch.
It's great.
Right?
Yeah. Baywatch can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, and it does.
It's literally puts it on the beach. I'm waiting for an ice hockey episode on the beach.
Yeah. Oh, I actually had that same thought watching this too. Because I'm like, they're put anything. Ooh, maybe ice hockey. That's funny that you had that same thought. I honestly, this is probably their Jean-Claude Van Damme films were very popular, and they're like, let's do this too.
So they got to do sudden death eventually.
Yeah. By the way, I'm probably not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna give it a 6 now too, just because you guys did, and I'm like
triple sixer.
I want to join in with that. Woo! I did love this episode.
Yeah,
18, full 18.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great note to go out on. Scott, thank you so much. Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No.
Social media.
Well. I was gonna make a bad joke. I was just gonna be like, yeah, my phone, it's low on battery. But I'll plug my social media. I do things on Twitter, I guess, at SWTHIEDE. It's my first, middle, initial, and last name. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll check that out. And thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Scott.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. I'm really glad that I was assigned to this episode. I loved it.
You got a good one. Yeah,
you really did. Yeah,
you got a triple sixer.
Triple sixer. Picking over all the details was really fun with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you for being here. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Well, we'll be back next week with an all new episode of Baywatch Watch. And until then, stay wet.
When the waves are crashing.
Thanks for listening to Baywatch Watch. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode. If you're just joining us, please subscribe to Baywatch Watch on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave us a review on the Apple Music Store. It really helps us out. Thanks, and until next time, stay wet.